Joey, why has it been so cold?
Sudden stratospheric warming.
A lot of science, and you've distilled this down.
First discovered in the 1950s. This is when the stratosphere suddenly warms on the North Pole and we have the stratospheric polar vortex starts to wobble. So here's a little bit of science. You see the troposphere and the stratosphere. Sun comes in, warms up the stratosphere. That's great in the summertime when there's actually sun, but on the North Pole during the winter, there is no sun.
24 hours of darkness above the Arctic Circle, and you wind up with very cold air concentrating.
And that's where you see the stratospheric polar vortex. And around that vortex is the polar night jet, and below that is the jet stream that we deal with every day.
And look at the direction. They're flowing from west to east. Now, what happens when you run into North America and the northern hemisphere? There's more land, more friction. You get the jet stream buckling. They're called Rossby waves.
And that's named after a professor from the University of Chicago. And when some of these Rossby waves get strong enough, and you'll see at the top of this wave, they can actually disturb the night polar jet. Instead of rotating around, it will suddenly stop and can even go the other direction.
And what can happen too is the air begins to sink in the middle of that vortex, warm as it's compressed, and it can actually act like squeezing a tube of toothpaste. That warm air comes down in the middle, and you see the cold air bulge out, and unfortunately it's bulged out toward us.
And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Now this is what it looks like inside of a textbook. Let's flip the switch and look at what it looks like with actual model information when we're looking at this through the computers.
Now this is the global model, and this is what it's seeing. You see the darker shade of purple there, the more vivid color. That's the coldest air.
And we're really seeing it surprising over northern US, southern Canada into the pole, it's warmer.
How bizarre is this? Look where the North Pole is, and it's actually warmer at the North Pole than it is in Canada. How long does it stay like this?
That's the big question. Do we see this change? Well, let's run this thing out for the next 10 days. That's as far out as the global model will go. And what you're really looking for here especially is to see that jet stream flatten out.
What we want to see is, instead of seeing these big buckles in the jet stream, we want to see more west-east zonal flow. And that'll help scour some of that cold air out. And it's like molasses. It's very dense. It just sits there. And until we see a big storm or good westerly flow, we're kind of stuck in the cold air.
I mean, you even get out here till mid next week, to the latter part next week, that cold air still in place. It's starting to retreat a little bit onto the other side of the globe.
And it really becomes a problem toward the February 20th. Look across the pole toward Asia. They get the really cold stuff, and we still haven't gone back to normal. We haven't gone back to that nighttime polar jet flowing parallel to the jet stream. So this could come back. We don't know why this happens. There have been some decades where it didn't happen at all, and some decades where it happened once a year. So
when someone asks you, why is it so cold? Sudden stratospheric warming.